Picture this: 4,000 miles of canals, longer than the Nile River, covered with solar panels. Not beside the water, not near it, right on top of it. Every year, California loses enough water to evaporation to supply 2 million homes. But what if the same structure that saves that water could power the grid at the same time? This is Project Nexus, a bold experiment to turn America's water lifeline into a solar power plant. California has a dirty secret. Everyone knows about the droughts, the wildfires, the water restrictions. But there's another problem hiding in plain sight, one that's been bleeding the state dry for decades. The California aqueduct system moves water across 700 miles from Northern California down to the thirsty south. It's an engineering marvel from the 1960s, carrying water through some of the hottest, driest land in North America. But every single day, under the brutal California sun, millions of gallons of water just disappear. Evaporation. Scientists at UC Merced ran the numbers, and what they found was staggering. California's canal system loses approximately 65 billion gallons of water every year, just from the sun beating down on open water. That's enough to meet the annual needs of 2 million people. To put that in perspective, imagine filling up 100 Olympic swimming pools. Now imagine all that water vanishing into thin air every single day. For decades, engineers knew this was happening. They just did not have a solution that made sense. You can't exactly put a lid on 4,000 miles of canals, or can you? In 2021, a team at UC Santa Cruz started asking a different question. What if the lid was not just a cover, but also a power plant? What if you could save the water and generate clean energy at the same time? Here's where it gets fascinating. The concept sounds simple: install solar panels over existing water canals. But making it work at this scale required solving problems nobody had ever faced before. First, the structure. You cannot just throw solar panels across a canal like a bridge. Water is constantly moving, temperatures swing wildly between day and night, and the whole system needs to survive earthquakes, windstorms, and California's extreme weather. The solution? A modular steel framework that spans the canal, width them typically 100 to 200 feet, supporting rows of solar panels tilted at optimal angles. The structures are anchored to the canal walls, but designed to flex and move with seismic activity. Each panel is sealed and rated for high-heat desert conditions. And here's the brilliant part. The shade from the panels cools the water below by up to 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Cooler water means less evaporation. Less evaporation means more water reaches its destination. The University of California's research showed that covering just the main aqueduct system could prevent 63 billion gallons of water loss annually, enough to irrigate 50,000 acres of farmland for an entire year. But the water savings are only half the story. These panels will generate approximately 13 gigawatts of renewable electricity. That's enough to power 9 million homes. To match that output with traditional solar farms, you'd need to cover 90,000 acres of land with panels, land that California does not have to spare. By building on existing infrastructure, canals that are already there, Project Nexus solves two massive problems without consuming a single acre of additional land. No wildlife displacement, no habitat destruction, no buying up farmland or wilderness, just pure innovation sitting on top of infrastructure that's been there for 60 years. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds expensive, and you'd be right. Initial estimates put Project Nexus at around $20 billion for full deployment across California's 4,000-mile canal network. That's real money. But here's what makes it economically brilliant. Traditional solar farms in California cost about $1 million per megawatt to build. They require land purchases, environmental reviews, grid connections, and ongoing maintenance. And they produce zero water savings. Solar canals cost about 20% more to construct per megawatt because of the specialized mounting structures. But they deliver a double benefit: electricity and water conservation. When you factor in California's water costs, which have skyrocketed during drought years, the project starts looking like a bargain. The state spends approximately $3 billion annually on water management and drought mitigation. If canal coverings can reduce water loss by 60%, that's $1.8 billion in annual savings. Add in the electricity revenue, selling 13 gigawatts to the grid generates roughly $4 billion per year. And suddenly, the economics flip entirely. The project could pay for itself in less than 8 years. After that, it's pure profit for decades. But money is not the only reason this project matters. Here's what most people don't realize. California's canal system might be getting the first massive solar cover, but it's not the first place to try this concept. India pioneered canal-top solar back in 2014 with a 1-kilometer pilot project in Gujarat. The results were promising: water savings, energy generation, reduced maintenance on canals because less vegetation grew in the shade. But India stopped at small-scale pilots. They never scaled it up to the level California is attempting. China, despite building more solar capacity than any nation on Earth, has not touched this technology at scale. Neither has Australia, despite having one of the hottest, driest climates and extensive canal systems for irrigation. Why? Because it requires three things most countries struggle to coordinate: existing large-scale canal infrastructure, extreme water scarcity, and the capital to invest in long-term solutions. California has all three, and that's why this project matters far beyond America's borders. If Project Nexus succeeds, it creates a blueprint for water-stressed regions worldwide. The Middle East, North Africa, Australia, Central Asia all have extensive irrigation systems and brutal sun. All could benefit from this dual-purpose approach. The global potential is staggering. The International Water Management Institute estimates that worldwide, irrigation canals lose approximately 40% of transported water to evaporation and seepage. If even a fraction of those systems adopted solar coverings, the combined water savings could provide fresh water for hundreds of millions of people. And the clean energy generated? Equivalent to taking 50 million cars off the road globally. But here's where geopolitics enters the picture. In 2023, something interesting happened. Just months after California announced the full-scale Project Nexus timeline, China's Ministry of Water Resources quietly launched a feasibility study for canal-top solar across 3 provinces. Australia fast-tracked environmental reviews for a pilot program in Queensland. India announced plans to expand coverage on 10,000 kilometers of canals. Suddenly, what started as California's innovative solution became a global race. Why the sudden urgency? Because whoever masters this technology first gets to export it. The global market for water energy infrastructure projects is estimated at $300 billion over the next 20 years. Nations that develop proven systems, refined engineering techniques, and scalable models will dominate that market. California has the advantage of going first at scale. 4,000 miles is 400 times larger than any existing project. The data, the engineering lessons, the construction techniques developed here will be worth billions in intellectual property and consulting contracts. But there's something deeper happening too. For decades, China dominated the narrative on large-scale infrastructure, belt and road projects, high-speed rail, megacity development. China showed the world what was possible when government coordination met massive capital investment. Project Nexus represents a different model: democratic governance, private-public partnership, environmental sustainability, and community-focused benefits all rolled into one. It's America saying, we can still build big, we can still innovate, and we can do it in a way that benefits everyone, not just the state. But let's be honest, this won't be easy. California has a reputation for starting ambitious projects and watching them spiral into budget overruns and delays. High-speed rail? Anyone? Project Nexus faces real challenges: land rights, environmental permits, union labor negotiations, grid connection logistics. Then there's maintenance. Who's responsible when a panel fails over a remote desert canal? And the technology, while proven at small scale, has never been tested across thousands of miles and decades of operation. Critics point out that California's track record on megaprojects isn't great. Cost overruns are almost guaranteed. Political changes could stall funding. And if water prices drop during a wet decade, the economic justification weakens. But here's the counter-argument. The alternative is doing nothing. Climate models show California's droughts getting longer and more severe. Water demand is rising. Energy needs are skyrocketing with electrification. Building this now, while water is expensive and the political will exists, means the infrastructure is ready when the next crisis hits. And those crises are coming. Right now, crews are building the first 100 miles of Project Nexus in Central California. By 2026, that stretch should be operational, generating power and saving water. If it works, California plans to expand across all 4,000 miles of canals by 2030. And if that succeeds, the idea will spread, first across the American Southwest, then to nations with even more at stake: the Middle East, Australia, Central Asia. Because it's a blueprint for 21st century infrastructure, solving multiple problems with one elegant solution, using what we already have, and making it sustainable from day one. The truth is, highway solar remains unproven. The challenges, clearance, turbulence, maintenance, are massive. Yet Project Nexus proves something powerful. When you rethink what's already there, you can uncover solutions no one ever imagined. The real question is, where will humanity look next that everyone else has been ignoring? Let us know what you think in the comments. If you think covering canals with solar panels is bold, wait until you see what's happening just a few hundred miles away. For the first time in American history, crews are actually building a real bullet train, not a proposal, not a render. A high-speed line racing across California right now. How fast will it really be? And can the US finally catch up to Japan and China after decades of delays? Click watch next to see that video. Thanks for watching.